thank you for coming to another King Yoga class. This class is going to be a little bit different from the previous few. We've focused on the missions quite a bit in the last three anyway, Operation Space Power 2, and Operation Prayer Power. And in this class, we want to focus more on the individual. And because King Yoga is composed of three aspects. It's learning the teachings and studying. It's doing the practices, and first and foremost, and most importantly, it's giving service to the world. But none of that really is possible unless you have your life together to a degree. And even though people might join the Aetherius Society and feel it's fairly easy to join the Aetherius Society and to start along this path, as one goes along the path, roadblocks come up and bumps and detours, and it gets a lot more difficult to stay on this path than it seems. And so we wanted to focus on that aspect a little bit today, because it's the overall situation on Earth is most people don't really understand the situation on Earth. It's most people live in the material world and spend a lot of time focusing on those matters. And the reality is, of course, it's all about evolving. It's about trying to help each other evolve, and it's all about energy. It's about we're all aspects of God, and many of these things, which are really you could say obvious to the spiritual person, are not obvious to the majority on Earth, and that makes it very, very difficult to do what is necessary on Earth in these days. So we wanted to kind of examine that and try and navigate a way through that, and to really understand what we're up against, and how it is that it can be so easy to be deflected off of this really, really potent, powerful path given to us by an avatar. So the outline of today, then, just to kind of give everybody an idea, is we're going to listen to a fairly long extract on entitled "Fight Ye the Evil," and this was delivered by the Karmic Lord Mars Sector 6 back in September 25th, 1959, up in San Francisco. And this was just a short time before the charge of energy put into Mount Talek by the Master Jesus later in October that same year. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this transmission, discuss it, try and get the most we can out of it. Then we're going to take a break. Then we're going to learn a very potent and mystical practice called the protective practice. This is a way that we can use to protect ourselves from this stream of negative energy that will tend to flow your way the more good you are doing. And so as you do more good in the Aetherius Society, which you will do, then you will also get more challenges. And so it's important to understand how to deal with those. The protective practice is an extremely potent and powerful way to do this. And we're going to listen to the Master give that to us. And then we're going to finish kind of in honor, partially in honor of the upcoming solstice, which is on the 20th of the month this year. And we're going to perform 49 AUMs, which is a really amazing experience to do that. And that is another way to protect yourself from the negative energy coming towards us, and also to raise our vibrations and to start to feel and realize and appreciate the finer things that are all around us, but are not open to our senses that we're using. And so doing these 49 AUMs, I think you'll find, I'm sure you'll find, that it will sensitize you to these aspects of this great world out there that we don't normally see or feel. That's the plan. Now, a little bit more introduction to this Fight You the Evil. It was given back in 1959 before any missions were started other than Starlight. So it was before Prayer Power, Sunbeam, the battles in the lower astral realms, before the 9 Freedoms even. So it's quite early in the body of teachings given to our Master. And so, some of the things that were said, you could probably say would be said a little bit differently had it been given 10 years later. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, he talks about early in the transmission, Mars Sector 6 says that in the days past, you were told to turn the other cheek towards evil. But that is not the best way to do it now. And he doesn't really explain why, but it has been explained in other aspects of the teachings given to our Master. And the reason that you can't just turn the other cheek these days is because there is a severe time limit now on mankind's evolution. And shortly after this, 5 years after this, was the primary initiation of Earth. And of course, Mars Sector 6 knew that was coming. It had been predicted in our teachings that it was coming shortly, and it did in fact come in 1964. And because of the initiation of Earth, that means that once the energy from this initiation is manifested on Earth, everyone will have to, who wants to remain on Earth, has to raise their vibrations. Otherwise, we will not be able to stay on Earth. And so it's now, it's crunch time, if you want to say it that way. And that means that the spiritual worker has to really work. It's not just about being nonviolent and take everything and try and kind of go into a cave and work on yourself. It's time to fight back and try and help people raise themselves up, which sometimes means you have to fight evil because for obvious reasons. But Mars Sector 6 also makes it plain that this fight is a spiritual fight. That's what we're talking about. It doesn't mean that you can't do, doesn't mean that it isn't correct to defend physically, but we're talking about here, the path of King Yoga, we focus on the spiritual way of fighting back and fighting evil, and that is brought out.
Well, he also makes the point that in taking an active stand against evil, basically you're helping to transmute it. You're actually helping the evil ones by standing against their evil. And that's one of the important things. If you allow evil to take place, you're actually allowing those who perpetrate evil to fall even lower. By standing up against their evil, you're actually helping them to go forward.
That's right. That's a very good point. And that's not often said in other teachings.
Right.
That's a very, very good point. All right. Well, we're going to now listen.
Mars Sector 6 reporting from satellite number 3, now in magnetization orbit Terra, during magnetization period number 2, present phase. Our subject: fight ye the evil. O brothers of earth, some time ago you were instructed to allow evil to flow over you But in these days, a more active path is strongly recommended. There are many spiritual ways in which you can combat that which is so involved as to be evil in nature. Before you can combat this involution, you must be able to recognize it. You cannot fight that which you cannot see. Evil is made up of lies and pessimistic dwellings. Evil always strikes at that which is doing the most good. In order to differentiate between that which may be termed as evil and that which may be termed as good, you must refer to your holy works. The great ones in the past have given to you a path which is specially designed to lead you into the realms of spiritual advancement. The dark ones in the past have also given to you a path which is designed to lead you into ease, comfort, and into the clutches of they who would take from you your capacity to differentiate. I have stated that evil always strikes directly at that which doeth good. It is so upon terror. Whenever a mighty flame of brilliant white transmuting light is kindled upon the surface of your globe, then do the evil ones from the lower astral realms shed their dark powers upon the heads of their terrestrial pawns, so that these pawns may strike at this white flame. They do so by condemnation and lies. these lies cause a fear. Immediately a fear enters in any form, then doth evil dwell therein. A form, fear is the spawn of evil, but a thinking a terrestrial who has expended a sufficient energy to become discriminating may cast from himself this foul black robe of fear, may charge himself with the wondrous violet flame of transmuting spirituality, so that a fear is consumed in this flame of transmutation, may add to the potency of even this charge by requesting the vibrant flame of that which be pure white. Then indeed will fear be transmuted, and when it is, O terrestrial brothers, evil cannot strike at you. Know that the weapons of evil are fear and a confusion caused by lies. All lies are a deviation from the truth, are a deviation from reality, therefore are evil things. Those in this earth of yours who are specially chosen to do the greatest job among you are the choice targets for the evil, lying, black schemers who plot in darkness behind them, so that their foul arrows reach out like the death-dealing weapons which they are. But I say this now: take heed, ye schemers, for there cometh a day of reckoning. There cometh a day when ye must stand in the hall of judgment, when ye must pass that judgment upon yourself which you passed upon the spiritual ones, when ye must take grave limitation upon yourself. This day cometh The dawning is one of the inevitabilities of karmic law. You may never escape it. O brothers of earth, O children who are aspiring towards the divine illumination, reach ye ever outwards, ever upwards. Go ye ever inwards and seek the all-knowledge space within you. Be ye taught by the divine essence which is a part of you as much as you be a part of it. Allow yourselves to be inspired by those who speak without the forked tongue of the schemer. Allow yourself to be inspired, enriched by the great truths. Allow yourself to have faith in the logic expressed in such holy works as the 12 blessings given through primary terrestrial mental channel and no one else. Allow yourself to be inspired by such works that you may radiate such a brilliant white light around yourselves that evil cannot enter in. In these days, passive resistance as a negative phase will not so well work as it would in the days gone past. In these days, the aspirer, the student, aye, and even the adept must be prepared to take a firm line, must be prepared to stand by that which he knows to be truth, must be prepared to frequently charge his physical and mental structure with the mighty violet flame, with the mighty white light, and with the golden essence which cometh from the very spark of God within. If the student stands firm in this way, preparing to suffer in this way, preparing to fight, I fight in this way, evil will not touch him, for he will stand firm against the lies of his condemners. For he will know there short cometh a time when this stream of black energy must be reversed against itself. This according to karmic law. You have been admonished in the past for not returning a good for evil. Do this by sending out a transmuting beam of violet flame towards the evil ones. Stand firm upon what you believe, and in this way you will help them before their nefarious schemes can be carried out. It is like this. If you allow evil to be brought to bear against that which is so obviously good and true, you allow too the evil one to involve himself in even a worse evil. If, on the other hand, you block his nefarious schemes by truth, you stop this one from sinking so low. You must, O brothers, be prepared to help the evil ones by transmuting their wicked schemes. Remember this: when you do take the disliked sword of truth within your hands, and by the gods, sooner or later you must do this, you too will bring evil against yourself. Stand firm now. Pass your initiation now by transmuting this black force, and when the time comes for you to take your rightful place upon the platforms of terrestrial enlightenment, you can do so with experience.
Mars Sector 6 talks about evil, and it's more as an energy. It's not so much this group of people being bad and this group of people being good. Which is also true, but he breaks it down more into how this evil can manifest around you and in your life. And so it's more of an energy thing, I think, in this transmission. And for that, I think it would be good to understand how this works, how this evil energy can manifest in our life and around us. And so it might be good to read that one.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read from an introduction the Master gave in a lecture which was basically on satellite number 3, but I thought his introduction was very interesting. So I'm just going to read a brief extract from it. And this is how he started this lecture, which was given back in 1961. He said, "We are at war. There's no doubt about it. And this war is extremely serious. This war is now taking place on the mental realms. It's a war of great subtlety. It's a clash of mentality against mentality. It's a clash of spiritual endeavor against what are commonly termed the darker or more baser forces of materialism. On the one hand, you have the vast majority of humanity absolutely in the materialistic trap which has been very carefully laid and formulated throughout the years. On the other hand, you have what I call the thin white line. The spiritual workers throughout the world, in different groups, in their own homes, in every country in the world, working to send out light, spiritual energies, working for the betterment and enlightenment of mankind. You see the result of this on the mental realms, this tremendous clash and interplay of forces which is going on. This war is a war of energy, mental energy, on different planes, but certainly a war of energy. You might say all wars are wars of energy, and you are right, but this is a subtle one. It goes on for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For man lives for 24 hours per day and not just during his waking state. So I thought that was a very interesting
It's great.
way of putting it, because the mental realms of this earth must be filled with tremendous clutter and basic energies, extremely basic energies, which have tended to condition humanity. And so you have this little thin white light of the spiritual workers, but they're up against tremendous forces which are trying to hold mankind down.
You can say that the materialistic world and all the different theories and belief that that's where happiness is a tremendous lie. That is a tremendous lie that's been perpetrated for centuries.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It holds so many people back. Well, it holds us all back to a degree. And so that's I guess what our task is, and I think it's also good to try and understand the mechanics of it as much as we were able to, and when you listen to our master's lecture on the Devic kingdom, he states that the Devic forces are the forces on Earth whose job is to manipulate energy. And so you send out a negative thought. Let's take the positive. You send out a positive thought, and you want to send your mother some healing, and so you do some absent healing or send her a prayer. And what happens is this leaves your aura, and it gets picked up by the local Devic forces, and it gets transferred to your mother, wherever she may be. On the other realms, possibly, probably not, but probably on this plane, and it'll be sent to your mother, and it'll go into your mother's aura, and she'll be helped by this energy. Likewise, if you send out a prayer for upliftment of all the people that are suffering in Africa, then this energy goes out from your body or from this group of people that are sending it out, and it gets picked up by the devic forces, and it gets transferred to the area in Africa, and then it goes to who needs the energy. We're working to the most good according to your direction, and that will uplift the people that are in need. I think we know that. But the reverse is also true. You have certain forces that don't want things to go well on Earth, forces that don't want spiritual evolution. They want to see materialism get more and more entrenched because that's where they have their power. And so they will probably send a stream of energy towards those who are trying to fight this. They'll send energy towards people that are trying to uplift people. And that energy also will go to the Devic kingdom, and the Devic kingdom will then send that to those who are doing the most good by law. The Devic kingdom, they're neutral. Just because you're doing good stuff, they don't give you a break. If you're doing good stuff and someone is sending energy against people doing good stuff, you're going to get that. And it's like Master Aetherius said, when you hold up that sword of truth, you will bring this this energy against yourself. That's how it happens. That's why it happens. And he also says in there that there's very good ways to protect yourself. One is the violet flame, the white light, the golden sphere, the golden essence, which is the practice of the presence, and sending light out helps. Doing the 12 blessings, sending prayers, all these things help, and that's why it's so important to do these, even though it may not seem, or maybe you think that doing these practices, these visualization practices, are mainly to help you evolve. They are, but they're also to protect you from the stream that will be coming your way. And the more good that you do, the more of that will be coming your way. It's part of evolution. You've got to learn to do that.
It's the only way to go. The antidote to it all is spiritual action, isn't it?
I mean, we also are told that we're never given a task that we can't perform, that we can't succeed at. Sometimes it may seem overwhelming, but it just means that you've got to go reach outwards, reach upwards, and go inwards. Interesting the way he said that. You reach out, you reach up, but you go within. And so the more you're tested, the more you learn that you have to do this. And the deeper in you go, you'll get more and more strength and more inspiration, more and more ability to help others. And so it goes. That's evolution.
That's why Mars Sector 6 and other masters have said it's so important to study the holy works, to allow yourself to be inspired by the great truths, because in that way you strengthen your mind and obviously your body and your aura, and you become a channel for light. And although we're constantly bombarded by the thought patterns in the mind belt of Earth, it strengthens you to stand against them. As the Master Aetherius said, the truths such as in the 9 freedoms.
Where's this from?
This is from Discrimination. Meditate upon the truths in the 9 freedoms. And the world in its basic materialism will not affect you or contaminate you, for you will advance so much that you will be in it, in the world, but not of it. And the masters tell you that the spiritual path is not an easy one. It requires tremendous patience and perseverance. It actually requires a constant effort to learn, to use it, to grow, and to become active. That's the only way to really combat and become a force of light in a world which is really struggling against the forces of darkness.
It's good to remember how fortunate we are to hear from someone as advanced as Mars Sector 6. He's a Lord of Karma, Mars Sector 6. And, you know, that was 20 minutes of our time that we spent listening to him. But imagine 20 minutes of his time, you know, and what we could be doing different things in our 20 minutes. But imagine what this great Karmic Lord could be doing in 20 minutes. And to think that he chose to give that to us, it's quite a thing to think about. And so it's good to, and some of the inflections that he gave in the words, just the thing about Mars Sector 6 is he tends overall to be somewhat monotone, but because of that monotone, when it's just a small change, it has a tremendous power, I find.
Yeah, listening to him is
Just a little.
the power of it is
It's,
incredible.
And so, you know, it's not all about mind and mentality. You know, when you listen to a transmission like that, you take in that vibration and that essence from this great Karmic Lord. And we're blessed that our Master went into the somatic trance to bring through so much essence from Mars Sector 6 that we can use it to our benefit and to the benefit of all. That's the whole point. Well, this next part of the class is we're going to do some practices. And the first one is the protective practice. And the protective practice is extremely simple to describe. It's very, very short to practice, but if you get it right, or shall we say when you get it right, it's extremely powerful and uplifting. And when our Master gave his 8-week course on spiritual development back in 1967, I think, 67, 66, the first practice that he gave, the first major practice that he gave, was a protective practice. And then later on in the class, when he talked about the seashore practice, which is more complicated, takes longer, a little bit longer, and it's easier to do, but he said also when he announced the seashore, he said it's not nearly as mystical or as powerful as a protective practice. And so we're going to do the protective practice. Now, for the purposes of the video, we are not going to give the protective practice over the video, but you can get this on the C8 online, or order it or download it. But because it's such an advanced practice, we don't think it's appropriate to give it out over the video.
Everyone knows, I'm sure, that this is the most sacred sound we can make, the most sacred of all mantra, and always should be said with the deepest reverence, never used in any way casually. We were taught by our Master to never say, how do people say, if we refer to it in conversation, a lot of people, I'm not going to say it, but when we refer to it in conversation, we always say the A-U-M. We never say a M, which a lot
Say
of
what?
people do.
You never say what?
Anything else?
I just for 1 or 2 minutes, I just want to read. There was a master who spoke through our master on this very subject, and it wasn't recorded. It was done in 1953, which is before the Aetherius Society, and I think it's the only, to the best of my knowledge, it's the only message from a master that we don't know who it is. There's no hint of who it is. Before the society, the master belonged to what was called a healing circle, and there used to be contact with higher, mainly at first anyway, people on higher realms or the spiritual hierarchy. And eventually the Master Aetherius came through. But this one is quite a long one. I'm only going to read a couple of little extracts, but this was on the AUM. It was given in 1953. And it said, the AUM is the word. The chanting of this will destroy all sangalas, which means karma. That karma that would pull you down. Chant the AUM as many times more as you can per day, and you will destroy your karma. He means the negative karma. Chant the AUM as many times more as you can per day, and you will heal all. Chant the AUM as many times more as you can per day, and you will destroy your karma and cast it from you like a dirty, worn-out robe. Not only will your hands be as though covered with the oil of embalming to take away the pains of others, but you will know what you are. There is no greater truth than this. Nothing can replace this. There is nothing in the world, no, not in the 7 worlds, that is more potently beneficial than this chant, for it is the beginning. It was the word that was with God, that was talked about in your ancient scriptures. AUM is the word. AUM is the secret. AUM is verily the gateway to the stars. There is nothing more powerful in any world than this. For it is written by the very gods themselves in the very sands of time that this word is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all. It is creation, it is preservation, it is transformation back to God again. So if anybody doesn't have the Master's lecture on the AUM, I would recommend that they obtain it. It's available on CD, available on download, and it certainly gives you a deeper appreciation of this great word. Okay, so let's prepare ourselves now. Adopt the mudra if we've been given this. Otherwise, just keep the hands open. Let's start by taking a deep breath. Om.